enlarging proportions. We're going from 1 to 2 proportions, which means we are essentially doubling everything. And what you're going to do is take a smaller picture and blow it up and make it large. We need to start out with proportional image and canvas. So we ended up cropping our images down to 6 by 8. So that way, when we blew them up twice, it would fit into the 12 by 16 format. Otherwise, if you don't have proportional image to canvas, what's going to happen is you'll get warping. You'll either get really, really skinny, tall images, or you'll end up getting really, really midget wide images. So this way you have a 1 to 2 proportion to work with. We need to grid our canvas off into 2-inch squares, and you want to make sure that when you are doing this, that you are getting your ruler lined up where the measurements actually start. Sometimes there's a little space at the beginning of your ruler. Make sure you're starting where the measurements start. And you'll just mark every 2 inches along the top. Slide your ruler down. Then you're going to do the same thing along the bottom. And you're going to do the same thing for the right and the left sides. That way...
Hi, would Jacoby Boston please come to the main office hallway by the freshman lockers? Jacoby Boston. Thanks.
That way your lines are all going to be parallel to one another. You don't have to worry about any sort of tilting or canting of your ruler. You can match up the spaces at both the top and the bottom. You want to make sure that your pencil is nice and sharp, either that or that you're using a mechanical pencil. That way you're getting as close to that mark as possible. You also want to make sure that you are running your pencil exactly up and down or perpendicular to the canvas. You don't want to tilt it out, or you will no longer be matching up those marks that you made. If anything, you could tilt it inwards a little bit so it's as close to the ruler as you can possibly get. After you have gridded off your canvas at 2-inch intervals, then you want to grid off your face pick at 1-inch intervals using that same technique of making your marks at the top and bottom and left and right side. At this point, you can start to transfer the lines and the shapes that you see from your face pick to your canvas. A couple things that might make this a little bit easier on you would be to outline changes in value. So anywhere where you see a light next to a gray, or a white next to a gray, outline it, maybe using a regular pencil. When you start to get into the dark areas, then you can maybe use a white colored pencil. That way you can see where these shapes are occurring much easier. Because we're going to be painting on this canvas, you do not want a whole lot of shading or extra pencil, stray pencil marks. These are things that you're going to have to paint over later. So really you just want to make the necessary lines to transfer from your image to your canvas. Then what you can do is start to use little sighting techniques. Also things like counting rows and columns to help see where you're at on your picture. As an example right here, I am 2 columns to the right, and in the first row is this highlight kind of above my eye. This highlight is found in the top third of the square. It's found in the top third of this square, so I come over here and put it in the top third of this square. You need to just kind of keep looking left and right, and I'm seeing right here there's an area that I kind of messed up on in my transfer. Should dip down a little bit more. This area right here should be a little bit smaller as it juts into this third square over. Now there's also a slightly lighter area kind of floating around it. So as I look back and forth, it's creating a bit of a point, a triangular point down here. Just keep referencing your original image. And use these squares, these gridded areas, to take it just a little bit at a time instead of too much information coming at you all at once. Another thing that you can do is take a piece of paper and look at it just a little bit at a time. You know, if I'm only working in this spot right here, maybe I just take this spot and look at that and transfer it here. You could even take it a whole row at a time if you want to. Do what you need to do to simplify this task for you. Things like outlining and covering up unnecessary information that you need.